And good evening, everybody. I think most of you know me already. I chose this theme, Love Moved First, because I know it's not a usual thing to say. I mean, people talk about love all the time, but that's not the kind of love that I wanted to talk about it tonight. Of course, I'm gonna talking about Jesus and about God. Is a deeper understanding, is a deeper not version, but it's like perspective of love. Because everybody says, "Oh, I love you, I like you," and it's not that kind of love that we experience here as humans. It's something beyond our knowledge and understanding, and about the love of God, the love of Jesus, and what that kind of love does to us. Because, see, in the Word, we walk so disconnected from one another, disconnected from the unit, from the planet, from the whole purpose of being here. And sometimes we don't even love ourselves, right? The way that God loves us, or the way that we are supposed to understand love. So I chose this theme today because I think nowadays love is such a cliche. And Valentine's Day was like a couple weeks ago, and everybody's like, "Oh, let's celebrate love." And it's about like chocolate, hearts, and cards, and this, and gifts, and that. And it's okay. I mean, who doesn't like to get gifts? Who doesn't like to feel appreciated? But it's beyond that. So I chose this verse is from John, the first John chapter 4, verses 19, and it says, "We love because He first loved us." And he's talking about Jesus, of course. So I want to start a little bit different today. I want to ask you, you don't have to dim the lights or anything, just to take a deep breath and stay here with me in this present moment. And if you could, just close your eyes for a little bit and pay attention to the words that I'm going to say. It's not a meditation. It's just something to reflect on it. So let's close our eyes and imagine this. Before you even tried to be good, before you learned, failed, struggle, forgave, before you even know how to love, you were already loved. Not because you earned it, not because you understood it, not because you were perfect, simply because love is the orange. When you forgive someone, it's a response. When you feel compassion, it's a response. When your heart softness inside of hardness, is a response. You are not creating love from nothing. You are remembering. Let this settle in your chest. I do not have to manufacture love. I only have to allow it. And if today it feels heavy or imperfect, that's okay. The first movement was never yours to begin with. Love began, and you are its continuation. So now you can open your eyes. So let me continue to speak and say something about this real quick. What we have to understand and what we have to acknowledge is the love, it's already here. We are already perfect loved by God, by creation, by the universe, by whoever you want to call, who you believe on, Jesus, God, whatever you believe. We are already loved. We have this inside of us, every single one of us. Even though we might think that we're not capable of love, we might think we're not worthy of love, it doesn't matter what we think. It's who we are, is where we're born with it. We just have to remember access, acknowledge. I chose this because, like, sometimes, like I said, sometimes we feel like we don't even love ourselves. So how I'm going to look at my neighbor or look at any of you and say, I love you. It's kind of like hypocrite, isn't it? To say, like, oh, I love you, but I can never even look in the mirror and say, do I love myself? Do I see myself as God created me, as the God that it's inside of me, the power, the knowledge, the understanding that we talk about it all the time, we acknowledge all the time, we have access to all the time. Do we really believe that we are loved, we are perfectly loved by God, by one another, and we are capable of spreading this love? So, I can't talk about love without talking about Jesus. So Jesus is the essence of love. It's not just something that he does. It's who he is. I love this saying on the wall here. It says, "Love is the process of inclusion. Once I include you as a part of me, I will be to you the way I am to myself." Right? So this love that I'm talking about is love. It's universal love. It's not like a mother, a father, a woman, a husband, a creature, nature. No, it's beyond that. It's includes everything, because when you understand that love does not come with condition, the condition of love, it comes from ourselves. It's how we. Our perspective of love, that changes everything. So this verse, when he says that we love because he loves us first, it flips the usual idea on the head. It doesn't say that we have to love in order to earn God's love. It says the love begins with him. Love is the source, not a reward. What it means is our capacity to love is a response. Love is not a self-generated effort. It's awakening recognition. When we love, we are echoing something eternal. Recognition, acceptance, surrender. And if God's loves first, then every movement of love, it is in us as a remembers. Recognition, emotion. We have to recognize the love that is inside of us. We have to recognize that we are capable of doing good. We have to recognize our capability of being kind, of being honest, of being soft, or being understanding, and being benevolent to one another. And this kind of love is not just something like I said, it does not come with condition. Because if you think about it, I was thinking about this when I was doing this presentation, and everybody talks about how, what Jesus came here to do, and his teaching, and how great he was, and what the wonderful thing that he did. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, what was the greatest thing that you can think that he could ever done for us? And then for a minute, I was like, you know what? Come here. Because if you think about it, us, Jesus being who he was, who he is, and have to come here on this earth to try to show us the way, to show us the truth, to show the path of love. And we, to this day, we do not understand it. And we think about it like why? I was just thinking to myself, like, he was up there in heaven, or whatever you would call him, like, yeah, why really he need to go to this place, deal with these people, knowing what they're going to do to me, knowing they're not going to understand anything, and then, they just going to, undo everything that I did. But he did it anyway. So that's the kind of love that I'm talking about, like no expectations. The kind of love that impacts you, the kind of love that makes you want to surrender, the kind of love that wants to just do the right thing just because it's the right thing to do. For instance, I love to talk. So for me, it comes natural. I have no problem talking about any topic of anything. It's just something that I happen to love how to do. So, it comes naturally. So love, it flows naturally. It comes from the inside. It comes something from that you find joy, that you find peace, that you just enjoy, and it makes it easier, makes your life easier, and makes the life that everybody else around you easier. So I have another slide here that says this tree represents I call it's called the fruits of the spirits, because there is a passion on this passage on the Bible when Paul writes to Galatians, and he talks about the fruits of the Spirit, and it has all this this thing that here on the tree, and love is on the top, and the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, kindness, patience, good, gentleness, self-control, and faithfulness. So see, for the love to move, for us to be able to understand the capacity of love, it's think like a tree, right? Like exactly how it's designed here. Love is on top, and all the other fruits, joy, peace, kindness, patience, it all comes together. If we love, we have joy, right? And if we love, we become peaceful. If we love, if we're patient, if we exercise the patience, we are able to be gentle. And if we're gentle, we are sorry, I'm trying to trample my words here. If we have gentleness, we are able to forgive. And if we are able to forgive, that means that we have self-control. So see, all of these, they comes together like in a circle. It's a movement. So love is never like a stillness. Love is always like you have to move, you have to generate, you have to make not an effort, but you have to leave those things to make love move, if that makes any sense. So that is a verse in Luke 6:44-45, and says, "For each tree is known by its own fruit, for the mouth speaks what fills the heart." So see, and I'm a true believer of that, because I love to talk about good things, and I love to talk about anything. So I talk about things that fills my heart. I talk about things that I like to bring joy. I like to have nice conversation. I have to like to talk about deep conversations about a book that I read, or an idea, or a show that I like to watch, or simply like if listen to someone who needs like maybe an advice, or just simply like listen to a person and just talk about whatever. So that's something that when your heart is filled with those kind of sentiments, of course, what you're going to see, what you're going to do, you're going to pour it out, what's inside of your heart. And it's the same thing in the opposite. If your heart is full with regret, with fear, with anger, with division, it's easier. So if you turn on the news, I don't even watch the news anymore, to be honest, because there's so much negativity and so many things that it talk, and you look at it, and what you're gonna do? You're gonna be like, what? And then your heart is going to be filled with like sadness, with preoccupation. You're going to be worried about the future. You're going to get like anxious. You're going to get angry because, and some things that is happening today, it should anger, like that is a normal person cannot be angry about what's going on in the world. But as a choice, as a conscious choice, what can we choose? Can we choose to just turn into what's wrong with the word? Or can we just, okay, yeah, the word is everything that's going on, but what are we going to choose? What are we going to do so we can change what is going on with the world? It has to begin with us. So that's why I wanted to talk about the love, because sometimes we forget. We forget to tune into all the good. We forget to tune in to understand. We forget who Jesus is, who God is, what the universe represents to us, and we forget. We have access to all of these wonderful books and communications and all of this knowledge and all of this power, and what do we do with it? Nothing, because we simply forget. We simply disconnect. And that's why, I think it's important, the message, to understand that kind of love that Jesus poured out in our lives, the way that he loved us, the way that he moved with intention through all of these, with those words here: love, joy, peace, kindness, patience, goodness. This is all that he did. This is all that he represented. This is all that he showed us. He showed us the way of love. And there is this book by Chico Xavier and Emmanuel, and says it's translated by Consolador, the Consoler. It says that love is the very law of life and is under sacred dominion, and all creatures and all things are gathered to the Creator within the grand design of universal unity. So that's why this kind of love, it's important, because it's not about you and me. It's not about husband and wife. It's not about like mother and daughter. It's about the collective, right? Because if I don't understand, if I don't have the capacity of looking at someone in need with compassion, with love, with kindness, and then without love, and then who am I? What am I doing? What am I doing with all the knowledge and understanding that I have? It's going nowhere. So benevolence towards one fellow being, born of love of one neighbors, gives rise to kindness, gentleness, which is a form of expressions. This comes from the Gospel according to the Spiritism, chapter 9. That it's kindness and gentleness. This is instructions of the spirits. When I was reading the Gospel. The gospel according to the Spiritism, I found that the most powerful messages, it comes from the instructions of the spirits. Of course, when Kardec was talking about all the teachings that he was doing for the gospel, the instructions for this, when you read it, it kind of like, the messages is like from 1861 or whatever. It comes like so true to this day. And this one who says here, people who carry those virtues in their souls have the ability to give encouragement and strength to those in need. For the radiate energies that isn't the case are aligned with love. For their thoughts, the actions, love is the motivation and the substance of every word and every gesture. So what he's saying here is our love is an action, right? Love is kindness. Kindness, it's one of the, I wouldn't say the most important things, but if you're able to look at someone in need, not with pity, not with judgment, but with a pure kindness, just to help, just because you want to help, you want to expect nothing from them. You don't want to judge, you don't want to ask why. Just help, just be kind. Just be kind to one another. Like sometimes we don't know what the person is going through. We don't know if that person is going to having a mental breakdown, or if they lost someone they love, or if they lost their job, or if they're just simply having a bad day. But kindness, the simple act of kindness, when you look at someone without expectation, and say, how can I help you? What do you need? Really, like, look into the person. It could change somebody else's life. Charity. I like to talk about this because, like, sometimes you see it all the time, like people making videos on YouTube, trying to help someone and say, oh, I'm gonna give you this, and I helped you, giving like $1 million or whatever, just for shows. So. And that's not the kind of charity that we'll be talking about here. When you do charity, you don't even like need to announce, oh, I'm gonna give like $1,000 to the center so they can buy or do whatever. No, just go. If you have money, if you want to donate, if you want to do, just simply go and just do it. No, that is not for show. It's just for you to know that you are investing or you are doing something that you think that's for the good. It doesn't matter what they're gonna do with the money. You're just giving because you know that they need something. So true charity does not consist only in alms that you give. Not even in the words of consolation you add. No, that's not what God requires of you. The sublime charity that Jesus taught also consists in the benevolence that you show always in the things towards your neighbors. You might also practice the sublime virtue towards being from whom your alms will be not used, but from the words of comfort, encouragement, and love you lead the Supreme Lord. This is the Gospel according to Spiritism, chapter 11, item 14. So the love is received, the love is embodied, and then the love is lived. What do I mean by that? We have to understand that we are all capable of give and receive love. Once we look at the mirror and we love ourselves and say, okay, I am worthy, I am totally a human being that is acceptable of receiving love, then the love is embodying in us, right? We accept that love, and the love lives in us, right? And then, through that love, we live, right? Through our acts of kindness, acts of forgiveness, acts of charity, or acts of when we gratitude. So everything, it's the love and movement. I took this from the book from Emmanuel, because God is God with us, and it talks about purity. And it says, when purity breeds within a heart, spiritual hardness will never find shelter in a soul, because the warmth of affection will radiate in all directions, encouraging the joy of the good and listening the unhappiness of our brothers and sisters who would still entrust themselves to ignorance. So there is a part of the sermon when it says, blessed to be those who are pure of heart. When Jesus was talking when he was doing the sermon in the mountains, and he was talking about blessed will be the ones who are pure by heart. Why does he say that? Why does it matter if that doesn't mean that the person is a saint, or that doesn't mean that the person does not do anything wrong, or no. We are all imperfect. Nobody here is perfect, and nobody here is looking for perfection. But that kind of purity in heart, it means like that your heart, it's so overflowing with love and kindness and compassion that the purity, when you look at someone in need, you're not going to see the person in need. You're going to see yourself, that you're like, it's like showing a mirror, right? You're looking in the mirror and say, okay, I love myself the way that I love others, so I'm going to look at the person like I look myself, with the pure eyes. And to have that kind of understanding is very profound, because when it says that the purity breathed within our hearts, it's like a spiritual hardening will never find shelter in our soul. So it's encouraging us to actually look at our brothers and sisters with a different kind of eyes, right? Not only like first of all, with the judgment, right? Because we are really quick to judge. We're really quick to judge, to get mad, and then not understand. And like, why am I helping these people? Why these people doesn't deserve my help? I already tried to talk to them. I already tried to make them understand, but they don't listen to me. Why I'm gonna waste my time? Why I'm talking to you? Why I'm trying to explain something to you that you're not even like gonna listen in the first place? And that's our first mistake. That's our first barrier when we don't have those kind of like thoughts. When it means like to be pure in heart, it means that your heart is soft, your heart is kind, your heart understands through times the love is the way, that you already have that kind of connection, and you have already that kind of feeling that makes you soft and make you look at your neighbor and say, okay, you are worthy and deserving of love, just as I am worthy and deserving of love. So purity of heart prevent bitterness and foster resilience. And forgiveness is not just for others. It frees us from the weight of resentment. Love in action illuminates and uplifts both of our own paths and the paths of those we will encounter. So for us, and talking for myself, sometimes it's really hard to forgive, right? Sometimes it's, especially if you're in the middle of something that somebody did to you that you really hurt and really bitter, have resentment, and the person say, oh, forgive. And I actually did, I think it was one of my first presentations that I did here. It was about forgiveness. And why is it so important for us to forgive? Why is it important for us to understand? Because like sometimes forgiveness is like this, right? You have a weight that you're carrying, right? And you're bitter, you're hurt, and you're like, for whatever they did to you, right? But remember, it's not really done to you, not something that you didn't do to yourself. But anyway, so you're carrying this weight, right? And you resent, or you just like, it's really bad. And then, the thought comes to your mind, forgive. Why I'm going to forgive? Well, it's your choice. You can live your way, you can stay, and you can still walk with all this heavy lift, or you just like, drop it and just live your life. The forgiveness, you have to understand, is for us. The person who did you wrong, they don't even remember. They might not even know that what they did to you, because like for them, like, it's nothing. But for you are the one who's hurt. You are the one who's bitter. You're the one who's carrying all those sentiments that's actually hurting you. So think about it this way. When you have your hands full, right, and somebody wants to hand you a gift, right? But you like coming out of a grocery store, you have all those bags in your hands, and your hands are full, right? But the person has like something wonderful they want to give it to you, right? But you don't want to let go of all those bags of groceries that you have in your hand, but you want to receive those gifts. How are you going to receive the gifts that's being given to you if your hands are full? So that's how forgiveness is. It's like if you choose, you can choose, it's a personal choice. You can choose to live your life bitter and resentment and playing the victim and thinking, oh, poor me, what they did to me was wrong. Yeah, it was wrong, yes, but forgive. You know why? Because you deserve the peace. You deserve the happiness. You deserve to understand. You deserve to walk this life free for any resentment, free for any kind of sentiments in your heart that is actually is going to stop you from living your life. So that's why we forgive. We forgive for us, right? And we let go. We just like, you release, let go, you walk, and you forgive. So that is actually a kind of love, that is act of love, act of love for yourself. Because when you love yourself, you understand that you wanted to be free from all of those sentiments, no resentments, no bitterness, no sadness. So love in action illuminates and uplifts both of our own paths and the paths of those we encounter. Okay, so this is a very famous verse of the Bible that talks about love. That's 1 Corinthians verse 13, chapter 13, and is verse 13 says, "And for all of these remain faith, hope, and love, but the greater of these is love." Why does it say that the greater of this is love? Because if you don't love, you are not, you're not capable of exercise to fulfillment of understanding of who God is and what Jesus is to your life. So, and I like, there is a song that talks about, they say something about this. Even if you choose to be a martyr, like be burned to the stakes and be a martyr, but if you don't love, you are nothing, you're bankrupt. So all of what Jesus did to us, for us, that he came here to teach us, the way that he taught, the way that he talked, the way that he encountered, the way that he touched everybody's lives that he encountered when he was healing someone, when he was speaking with someone, he was always doing out of love. And that's the kind of love that we have to understand. And to make it deeper, Paul says this: the love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love, it does not boast, is not proud, is not dishonor others, is not self-seeking, and is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth, and always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. That's why love is the biggest of all. Because if you look at those through these words, that's all Jesus was. He was kind. He did not envy. He was not proud. He didn't dishonor anybody. He was not self-seeking. He was never angered. He didn't record wrongs. He didn't delight in evil. He rejoices with the truth, protects, trusts, hopes, and always preserves. So that's the perfect description of love. And Paul, when he wrote this book to the Corinthians, I don't know who had the chance to read the book. There is a book called Paul and Stephen, and I really recommend it. I don't know if anybody read it but that book, when I read it, it just like completely changed my mind and my perspective about a lot of things. Because a person when he wrote this, he needed to really understand what the love means, because he was the one who was persecuting all the Christians. He was killing them. He was like, he knew, and he was like, what do you call, one of those teachers. He was very well spoken. He knew the law. He was a Jewish. He thought he was protecting God's words, and he was doing all these things, thinking he was doing for the good of God. But when he had this first encounter with Jesus, and he changes his perspective, and it's not like that. It didn't happen by magic. He had to suffer. He has to understand. He has to go through all this process to understand, to write about this kind of love that he wrote this for us here. I got this from another book from Chico Xavier, and actually it's many authors, and it says, The pyramid of spiritual elevation rises with true security only when it built upon with the distant corners, understanding and accept, love and serve. To understand is to forgive always. To accept is see beyond the horizon. To love is to shine the light in every shadow, and is to serve is to triumph in what truly matters. Service is love in motion. Who loves illuminates. Love begins in being loved, and service becomes with gratitude. When we understand the history, we have to exercise one little thing called patience. Sometimes we do not have. Sometimes you don't have patience to listen. Sometimes we have assumptions, we have presumptions, we already have our own understanding knowledge. Sometimes we don't listen. Sometimes we think we listen what the other person needs to say, but we're not really understanding and really seeing what the person is trying to tell us. And when we accept our faults or our flaws or our limitations of understanding things, when we have that kind of acceptance and we release control of things that we cannot control, and it's actually kind of freed us to a deeper understanding, to a deeper knowledge that we are not meant to be perfect. We are walking in this life trying to accomplish something, and when we understand that we have no control or whatsoever of anything, we let go. We're trying to walk lighter, and we begin to walk through the light, and we trying to start to let things in love and understanding and kindness flow. So that's why we need to have joy in our life, right? So joy is part of love. So, and I took this from the Book of Hope from Chico and Manuel, and it says, let us plant joy and hope wherever our influence can reach. Let us speak of optimism, cultivate service, teach trust, and practice serenity. No one expects us to be a remedy of every anguish, of the river of every thirst. Yet, in the face of the shadows and the dryness that torment humanity, each of us can be the comfort of ray of light, of the blessing of the cup of water. What he's saying here is we are not to be anybody's savior, right? But we can be the ones who can look at one another. You just reach out in your hand and you say, let me help you. How can I help you? Can I walk with you? Can I sit with you? Can I offer something to drink? When I say something here that we don't have to feel everybody trust, that doesn't mean that we're never going to be 100% kind and patient and nice. No, but when we can, why not? When we have the opportunity, why not? Right? So, and for us to be that kind of person, we need to have joy, right? So, who wants to talk with someone that has is very negative, and whatever you're gonna say to them, they're only gonna say, "Oh my God, this is the end of the world. Nobody's gonna listen to you," right? We have to have joy, right? We need to be a joyful person. We need to be spreading the love, spreading the joy, spreading the good news. So, to have something good to talk about it. To be able to expect someone to have a very nice, deep understanding what you're trying to say. And so this is actually, I'm going to close. This is my last slide. It's 9 o'clock. So I'm going to close with this, something that I wrote, and I hope that it makes sense to you. So today, I open my heart to purity and love. I let go of resentment, forgiving freely and releasing the weight I do not need to carry. I choose to see others with understanding and to act with kindness, to serve with sincerity. In these simple acts, my inner light grows, illuminating my path and softly touching the lives around me. I remember spiritual strength is born in the quiet of the heart, nurtured by acceptance, compassion, love, emotion. Thank you very much. No questions, I guess?